Okay, so everyone, welcome to this first episode of Star Compass. That is the first episode of a video podcast series that me, Giorgio from Star Wars Libri Comics, will be conducting since I believe November or December, hopefully for one episode per month. So, who am I? I am Giorgio. I'm the founder and editor in chief of Star Wars Libri Comics. That is the only Italian community focused on Star Wars literature, so books and comics. Mostly, of course, we cover all Star Wars, but I believe with the special point of view of readers of books and comics and everything in between. And today I will have the pleasure of speaking with Florian, so German Jedi, as is his Twitter handle from Jedi-Bibliothek. So, welcome, Florian. I'm really happy to start this podcast and video with you.
Hello, and thank you. I'm quite honored to be the first one.
I think it is totally deserved. I believe for me, I started Star Wars Libri Comics in 2015. So really, also with the sprint of the Star Wars publications that were revamping with the Marvel comics, etc.,
Oh yeah.
etc., and that was an amazing time. I was a reader. I've been a reader since I believe 2012 or no. From before, from 2008, I believe I was
All
really
right.
really a kid, and then after several years, I decided to start something mine, like to speak about Star Wars online. Worst decision of my life ever.
Oh, come on.
No. I'm happy, and I believe like you were really an inspiration for me.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I'm really happy to start with you. So I've spoken really a little bit about me, but I would like to know about you. So you as a Star Wars fan, when have you started discovering the saga? And then, of course, it's
Okay.
books and comics.
All right. Well, actually, it kind of has always been books and later also comics for me because I think my Star Wars journey as a fan started about 20 years ago. I think that's fair
Uh-huh.
to say, 2002, maybe 2003, when a classmate actually lent me his copies of the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J.
Oh,
Anderson.
nice.
Interestingly, he lent me volumes 2 and 3, so I started reading out of order as well. I had not seen any of the films at that point. I was
Okay.
aware of Star Wars like it was a pop cultural thing. I
Mhm.
knew that the prequels were coming out, but at that point I hadn't even seen episode 1. I was 11 years old at that time, or 12 maybe. Yeah. So yeah, my first introduction really was the comic. Was this novel series, as I couldn't afford cinema tickets at that time either. So books. It was until I caught I think an airing of Empire Strikes Back was, I think, my at least parts of that film again. I
Okay.
had a weird introduction to Star Wars. Was the first film that I saw on German TV when it aired. But I was apparently very tired today as I fell asleep. um, Also, with so many ad breaks, I kind of tuned out. But I ultimately, after reading those books, I borrowed some DVDs from a friend, and I caught up on the prequels that had been released at that point, episodes 1 and 2, that is, and also later on then the original trilogy 4, 5, 6. So yeah, I caught up quickly, and I started reading a lot more books afterwards because, as I said, I kind of love the Jedi. I love the world building. I kind of love the whole science fiction idea. I was already starting to get into stuff like Stargate, which was on
Uh-huh.
German TV at the time. So my science fiction interest was there. I was reading fantasy stuff like Harry Potter, even though
Of
J.K.
course.
Rowling sucks, but hey, uh, which we didn't know back in the day. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
We
where it
all didn't
started for
know.
me.
Yes.
Oh well, you never know. But yeah, that kind of was where it started for me as a reader.
Mhm.
Do you want me to continue?
No, no, it's interesting, but
Mm.
so were these books translated in German back at the time,
Yeah,
or were it in English?
they
Okay,
were.
so they were.
They had a
Okay.
huge delay, but like I think they were 2 or 3 years behind the US, which
Uh-huh.
they are again now, at least. Well, they're 1.5 to 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Resistance Reborn was just released in German in August,
Oh,
so
well,
but
that's
they're catching up.
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
actually catching up. Like
I
next year, they're
mm,
doing 1 book a month starting in March,
uh-huh.
and that'll really catch them up to like
Oh, of course.
2002 at least. All right.
Okay.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. We I think we will come back to like this topic of catching up and delays and that kind of stuff.
mm,
For me, it's interesting because I believe a more like traditional introduction to Star Wars. Basically, my mom introduced me to the original trilogy, and then I was, I believe, at the quite the right age, maybe a bit too young, but the right age to enjoy the prequel while growing up. And
mm.
then basically I started with comics, with comic books, and
All
then
right.
moved on to novels. And I started with
Interesting.
Star Wars Obsession,
Ah,
because
yeah.
on the cover there was written that it was the prequel to episode 3. So I
Right, right.
thought that it will be very easy to follow, and I will catch up with all the characters inside. Then I grabbed it, and there was Ventress and Durge, and I
They
had
were
a
not in the film, right?
yeah, not
So
in movies. So I were a bit confused. And then, of course, I
I see.
started with Tales of the Jedi. Basically, I catched up
All right.
with that, and I was
The
so
comics, not the
yeah,
animated show.
yes, yeah, not the animated show. I'm a bit I'm quite bitter on the decision of calling the show Tales of the Jedi, because I'm really passionate about the comic series, and I felt like, i- not so good. Then I quite enjoyed the show, not completely, but
Mm.
about the title and the font and the the design.
Yeah,
I was so
I see. You know, I I get where you're coming from with that, and I'm also not entirely happy with that. I quite like the shorts; they were fine.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would have loved more different Jedi. Maybe if they do a
yes.
follow-up season, they can go into I don't know High Republic era Jedi. Maybe
Yeah, for example, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm. Not
I
just
totally
Ahsoka and Dooku. Mm,
exactly. I totally agree with you. Like, if even if I didn't really enjoyed the whole series, I really am really looking forward a second season, because hey, uh,
mm,
new episodes and stuff that maybe I will like more. So I'm really on this train in a way. And so you were telling me you started around 2002, but when did Jedi-Bibliothek began its work? Was did you
much
find?
later.
Yeah, much later. Tell me. I'm
Um,
I'm I'm quite curious.
so that whole thing, yeah, it started in 2011, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So May 2011 was when we registered the domain on
Uh-huh.
Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Yeah. Of course, we had already been thinking about some of
Mhm,
that stuff earlier, but yeah, the that was just me and another guy who I basically got to know on the internet as well, trying to put up a system where people can do basically checklists. I've read this, I own this, I own
mhm.
that. Um, what we had to find out, unfortunately, was that we were quite technologically incompetent and couldn't pull off that system. So after a few short months, we gave up and kind of just left it at that. And we did have, however, a Facebook page on which we continued to share news, to post the latest stuff that was going on in the English speaking as well as the German speaking publishing world regarding Star Wars. And in 2013, there was kind of it was a conversation I had with a friend from Jedi-Pedia.net, which is the German Star Wars wiki,
Mhm.
um, who said, like, Florian, you need to do something with this project again. You need to get your own website again. You can't just leave it like this. And I was like, yeah, but what's the point? There was already a big Star Wars news site, Star Wars Union,
Mhm.
who to this day are like the one stop for all kinds of Star Wars franchise news. I didn't know if I had anything new to bring to the table. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, but we
Uh,
need something
mhm.
focused more on just books and comics, go into more detail than Star Wars Union can. Um, and maybe do reviews. And that was like the thing that got me interested. Okay, yeah, doing reviews, right. Nobody's reviewing those books in German.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that. By that point, we had 3 people.
Mhm.
A guy named Joshua and a guy named Jürgen. My original co-founder Julian had dropped out of touch along the way.
Mhm.
We got back in touch later. He's part of the
Uh-huh.
team now. He's
Okay,
running the
that's the
show more than I am
good.
at this point. But yeah, that's kind of how
Mhm.
we got started. And then in May 2014, we launched our blog that we are on today. Looks a little bit different. And yeah, to get back maybe to that one point, we, as I said, our initial mission was to get timelines and checklists and all of that.
Uh-huh.
We have then found a more competent person, actually like a trained programmer, a professional
Okay.
programmer, developer who coded our site for us, which includes a database in which you can mark all of your collected items as, I want this, I have this, I have pre-ordered this, I have read it, I have, and it'll, even in our timeline, it'll show you, yeah, you have read, like, or you can use that timeline as a
Yeah.
checklist, and it'll show you you've read this
Yes.
story arc from this comic partway through or fully. It's amazing, like the technological advances that we've had, just
Yes.
from that one person, Rotti, who's our MVP basically when it comes to this.
Yes.
Mhm.
I really envy your your timeline and your checklist. I think it's a really complete.
Team effort.
Yes, it's really amazing. In this sense, I am quite close to your experience because basically it's the same story as me. So I started speaking about Star Wars books and comics when I really was a kid on on a social network that was called Anobi. That I don't know if it
Right.
was a thing in
No.
Germany, but it was basically it was something between a Facebook and a forum. You basically could
All right.
add people
We had similar
based,
ones back in the
yeah,
day. Yeah.
based on your books on your bookshelves and your interests, and then you had basically groups with topics that you could create. And at the time, I believe in my Star Wars group there were, I believe, 100 subscribers. That was really when I started, but I was a kid.
I also still
I
remember when we crossed like the 100 followers on Facebook,
yes.
we were like, "Who people are reading our stuff?" But today it
Exactly.
seems ridiculous. But yeah.
And then, of course, this social network basically was not used anymore. Facebook was basically growing as the Leviathan that was at the time. Now I don't believe it is so much, and
Times
then
change.
yes, and then
Mhm.
after some experience writing stuff at my high school, and then I decided when I started university, I basically needed a place where to write my stuff. And then Star Wars came back again, and that was basically it. So nobody was doing reviews of Star Wars comics and books in
Ah,
Italy. Was I said there was the website, the Italian website from 1999 that is still active today. It's called
right.
guerrastellari.net, and
I
they
I
were,
know them actually. Like not
yes,
personally, but I know the site. Yeah.
yes, it was like the only fan site in Italy, basically the biggest one, and they were really covering all the leaks about the Force Awakens back at the time, and were covering all the production quite
Right.
precisely,
So kind of
and
like Star Wars Union did here in Germany. All right.
yes,
Okay.
and then but they were not. talking about comics and books that were coming out, and so hey, that was me. Maybe. But we're working on a checklist on something like that. But of course, we had the amazing opportunity of one of our readers and followers that said, "Hey, I'm a programmer. I can do this work for you.
These people are
Please."
like
Yeah.
amazing. You need them.
Really, really precious. And
Especially
so
if they agree to do it out of passion for free, and all
yes,
of that.
exactly. And they are like, they are professionals. Like they're not,
Yeah,
it's not just an hobby. It's they can do
totally.
it at a high level, as you did,
Yeah,
and you guys were, um, are
yeah.
really amazing. And yes, the
Like we've
timeline
yeah.
was one of the first things that I started on my website, and now it's really difficult to manage, and I really hope to have like a database or something that I can enter stuff and do not have to manually update everything. That is
Yeah. Like, I think at around late 2013, yeah, actually,
Mhm,
I think, yeah. I had already cobbled together like was based for those who are a little bit technical on a custom WordPress post type,
mhm.
um, a database or like the early version, with the limited knowledge of coding that I had, and basically pieces of code that I found on the internet that was
Online.
like really like cobbled together, as you would say. And yeah, what we've got now is so much better than that. It's all automatic. I don't have to
Right.
worry about editing 20 places just if like a release
Yes.
date changes. For
Oh no.
example, take a comic book with like Marvel, who love doing variants upon variants upon variant
I,
covers, right?
IDW.
Uh, yeah, imagine if they delayed an issue like Star Wars: The High Republic 1, or Star Wars 1 back in the day. And
Yes.
you had to change like every single variant cover date manually. But that's all in the past now. It has to have to change one date now, and it'll update all of the other listings. That's
That
like so much easier for us, so much easier also for the people who use the database to get the information they need. Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. I
coders are valuable.
yes, I'm really looking forward reaching that kind of moment.
I
And
hope you will.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully next year, I believe we had a really big, redesign of the website in 2020, basically for our fifth year, and we actually launched the new website basically the night they announced the High Republic. So the day before we got
Ah,
live, and then
clever.
yes, and yes, that night I believe I put my alarm at 3 a.m. to try checking out Twitter and following all the stuff that was coming out, and it was so stressful, but so it felt really good. Like for me, High
It can be
Republic
quite
was
stressful sometimes, the work, right?
yes,
Hmm. Oh,
yes.
yeah. Yeah.
But for me, since the announce, I believe High Republic was so good, like fresh air, and like
Totally.
doing
Should
you
see the
know
stuff
the
behind me as well. Like, yeah,
yes.
that's all right.
You cannot see very well, but I have a Lego Yoda that is wearing the High Republic hat that was coming with one of the out of print.
I've actually put it. Sorry, I'm bad with pointing.
Yeah.
I've put it on a light. Actually, this is the light of the
Okay.
Jedi. All right. Yeah.
And I believe like my passion that was maybe a bit tired. I believe it is very natural to be sometimes quite tired of things, but High Republic was wow. From the moment
It
of the
still
announce, I
is. It
was
still is
it
like.
still is. Really, really, it's amazing. And do you think High Republic sparked some new interest for Star Wars books and comics in Germany as well? Like not only you, but
Yes.
for the country?
Yeah. Well, like you need to know that all of the books that you see behind me are in English. So
Okay.
we can maybe talk about it later, but I kind of
Yeah,
stopped
yeah,
reading
sure.
them in German.
Okay.
But as for the German fandom, and I mean, I can actually back this up with hard numbers if I wanted to by looking at website statistics
Uh-huh.
and our social media statistics. It definitely was a heightened interest after the High Republic release. To the point that the German publisher, who was going to wait like 1 or 1.5 years to translate Light
Wow.
of the Jedi, um,
1 year.
they saw the bestseller reactions in the United States and preempted the book to like August 2021. So
Okay.
like um, a lot earlier than they were thinking. Um, I know that the publishers here are quite happy with how it's selling. Yeah. So
Okay.
I would say that you definitely see that. You see that also in the comments on the website. People love it. We've published a few reading order guides and stuff like that for the High Republic that are also almost, no, actually not almost. Every month they are at the top, like in the top 5 or top
Yes.
10 of our content on the site, even though they were published months ago. So
Yes.
I would say interest is pretty strong. We had Kevin Scott as a guest at a convention.
Oh, that's so nice.
Like last month, sorry, second in September. It's November
Uh-huh.
now, so yeah, in September. Um, yeah, he was very nice. It was a nice event, but also you could see the interest for this topic there as well. People cared about High Republic genuinely.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
That's good. I saw the same in Italy, and
Mm,
yeah, uh, basically we had a moment of uncertainty, let's say, in
oh,
2020, because the publishing house that was basically the biggest publishing house in Italy, that's called Mondadori, and they're huge, like really
mhm,
really huge. Like they
okay.
publish every kind of book, and they're not a small publishing house, and they started in 2017, I believe,
Mhm,
buying the publishing rights from a middle small publishing house more focused on video games and sci-fi, that was that really created, I believe, the nowadays community of Star Wars book readers. They started in 2007, I believe, and they
all right.
really had a big effort, and in that 10 years they published all the classic legends stuff. Of course, they were published back in the 90s by other publishing houses, but then let's say
They
in
reprinted
2000,
them.
and
Yeah,
yeah, they reprinted, and they made an effort to build the community. And then in
that's cool.
2017, yeah, in 2017 this big publishing house came over. At the beginning they were really publishing lots of novels, and quite fast, with really good prices. But then I don't know, something probably broke, and probably Star Wars was not so good for them. And then so in 2020 no books were coming out, no news were coming out. We really didn't know anything about the future.
I
we
see.
had we had some ideas that what was happening, but no certainties for sure. And then Panini, that is publishing the comic books in Italy since 2005, came over with novels also, and
We
basically
know
said
Panini
okay.
here in Germany.
And
We
so
have them too.
yeah.
Mm,
And so they said, okay, we are publishing novels as well, and they will be the first novels we do, but we want to do novels, and we want to do everything about Star Wars. Oh yes, that's Panini Deutschland. Yes.
there we go. Mhm.
And they were really really happy about High Republic. Light of the Jedi came out in April 2021, so quite fast.
That's really
And
fast. Wow.
yes, they worked really really fast. And then I believe they are publishing one or sometimes two novels per month, and a number of comic books, like trade paperbacks, hardcovers,
Mm.
omnibuses, issues, classical issues. So there's a lot coming out. So we are, I believe we are really really happy, and also they noticed that High Republic sparked some new interest. I saw it as well because our High Republic content, as you said, it's really on top notch always. Sometimes it's a bit boring, like you publish High Republic stuff and it gets, you know, twice or five times the readers
Yeah.
of the other stuff. And
Yeah, of course, like you want people to read your other stuff as well. I think
yes.
the authors probably feel the same. They or the editors, they love the High Republic books, but also want people to read the
Yes.
original trilogy era comics, and of course, also want our readers to read the other stuff. But it's good to have something that gets the community like
Yes.
united in this way, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes. It,
Mm.
it really feels good, and there are no hard voices. There is some criticism, of course there
Oh,
is,
sure.
but it's really it's positive. It's good. It's not.
Constructive criticism, then, yeah.
Yes, it's a
Mm.
safe space, I would say. And I really hope Kevin Scott could come to Italy as well. I was looking forward to Lucca Comics that finished yesterday, and it's a really, really big convention in Italy, in Europe as well. I believe it's
Mm.
one of the biggest because, well, this year there were 300,000 tickets sold in 4 days.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a whole medieval city that basically becomes a convention center. So
Wow,
they do
that
the
sounds actually
convention
pretty
in,
fascinating.
yeah, you should definitely come, like next year or when you can. It's a formal
Oh,
invitation.
okay. Like, is it
Consider
always
you
in
invited.
October, or when are they
It's
setting that?
always at the end of October, beginning of
All right.
November. Sometimes
I'll
they're
have to
really
see. I
lucky
have to
with the
see how it
weather.
works out with my job, but sure,
Yeah, yeah.
why not?
Consider maybe for a weekend or so, but it's really, really nice. But yes, this year was maybe a bit too focused on Spider-Man because of the 60th year of Spider-Man, and
All right.
so John Romita Jr. was there, but no Star
Hmm.
Wars authors. But yes, yeah, I Republic is, for me it's really special, and I understand it's the same for you. Uh,
Totally.
Speaking, I'm quite interested about like numbers because I'm an engineer, and so, but it really helps me understanding, like, I know Star Wars in Germany is way bigger than Italy, for sure.
Hmm.
But how big it is, like, and how big are books and comics in Germany? Uh, to your understanding, and if you have some numbers, I will be happy to share mine as well.
Like, you mean sales numbers, or what are you
If you
talking?
have sales,
Uh,
or also like if you believe that Jedi-Bibliothek is representative of the whole community of readers, also your numbers, I believe, can be helpful. Like I believe
all right.
we are quite representative, maybe not
Let
100%.
let me pull up a little
Yeah.
bit on my phone then. Well, I don't have, like, I mean, I do have some sales numbers or estimates, but it's not nothing I would share, but
Yeah, yeah.
because that's like stuff the publishers sometimes say
Oh,
when you're talking to them.
yeah.
Um, I mean, as far as Twitter followers go, but Twitter isn't really popular or huge in Germany the way it is, for example, in the
Uh-huh.
United States. We have like 1,548, which isn't a lot,
Okay.
but I guess it's something. Um, Let me check. I think Facebook is where we have our biggest following because we originated as a Facebook page, you could
Yeah.
say, for a few years, 2,500 and
Uh-huh.
spare change. Yeah. So around that. Our readership is larger than either of those numbers because there are people who have us bookmarked. There are people who find us via Google or like these
Yes.
news apps that they have on their phone.
Mhm.
They're actually more responsible for more traffic here. But yeah, that's about the size of it. As far as readership in Germany goes, like I guess we're representative of the hardcore readers, you could say.
Okay.
Don't have many casual fans who visit our site sometimes,
Mhm.
sure, but I think the people who are like following our site, or the people who have shelves similar to this, right, who collect everything, and or at least try to, or building their
Mhm.
collections, these kinds of people are the ones that usually come to our site. Um, in Germany, Star Wars books, I think one of the publishers once told me they are not bestsellers but long sellers, but like they
Mhm.
know that they have a core audience that will buy every book, maybe not right at release, but at some
Mhm.
point, because people like to have this complete timeline in their shelf, right?
Yes.
Maybe you can relate to that.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't, even if you start reading, you don't buy all of the books at once, but like
Mhm.
or even if a new book releases, you don't have to buy it at once, but you'll get around to it eventually. And then,
Okay.
like they know how much these books, or these novels especially, are going to sell, more or
Mhm.
less, some more, some less, sure,
Of
based
course.
on what it is. Sith themed novels tend to sell better than or comics as well, especially comics based around, if there's a Darth on the cover or in the title,
Uh-huh.
it'll
Yeah.
automatically sell more than if
So
you have, I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn or Jar Jar
yes.
Binks or whoever on the cover.
Yes.
Um, and if you have a Jedi on there, it's always going to sell better than a bounty hunter, unless it's Boba Fett. Like there's kind of like weird things happening that way. I don't quite
It's
get.
true. It's the same
Yeah,
for us. Really,
yeah,
it's the
right.
same for us.
I always say Sith sells. Yeah. So based on another saying, but still, that's basically the size of it. We did have a few novels, like I think the Canon Thrawn books, the Force Awakens novelization. I think I'm not entirely sure about that one, but definitely Light of the Jedi, who hit like one of the German bestseller lists. Spiegel
Okay.
is what it's called.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Um,
That's
yeah, but
that's huge.
like that's huge. But bestseller lists always depends on what the competition is in a certain week. If there is no other big book, then
Yes.
Star Wars book has a better chance. But it's not like they're like in the United States. I'm always amazed. These books kind of always make the New York Times bestseller list,
I'm
which is a
always
huge
impressed.
deal for them. Yeah, right. Even then, I know it also depends on their competition, but still, like making that list is no easy feat.
Yes.
Nothing everybody can do. So yeah, we don't have that big of a fandom here. As far
Mhm.
as the comics go, I wouldn't even know. Which is funny because I'm working on one of the comics magazines as like a
Mhm.
freelancer as well for Panini. But I don't even know how much they're selling of that. But apparently it's going well. Like they've upgraded it from every 2 months to every month a few years ago,
Okay.
and seems to be doing good numbers. But yeah, um, it's more of a niche thing. But
So
as
you
with
believe comics are smaller than novels in
definitely,
general?
yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Um, yeah, they also have different publishers. Like in Germany, we have
Mhm.
Blanc Valet, which is a Random House company.
Okay.
Yeah, right. They're the novels publisher for adult novels.
Uh-huh.
And then you have Panini, who basically do everything else from
Yeah.
young adult, middle grade novels, and all of the comics.
Okay.
They are much faster than Random House when it comes to translating, or publishing them, more spontaneous, more fan focused. Sometimes you might say, but
Okay.
the bigger company, Random House, is now taking a few of the cues from them, basically by saying next year to 2023 we're going to experiment. We're doing weird books like the Star Wars Visions novel, which for
Uh-huh.
them was always like, no, we're not sure if we should do it because we don't know if people want to read it. If it has enough fans in Germany that might be interested in it. But for next year, they're saying we're doing it all. We're translating everything that we've kind of left behind on the way.
Okay.
Um, and we'll see if people like it. So like they're getting more willing to experiment, and I think that's also a consequence of the High Republic and seeing that there's an audience. But that's just my assumption. I don't know for sure what the thought process was.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. It's kind of similar for us, but I believe comics are a bit bigger than novels for us, but now
Mhm.
it's different to understand because Panini is doing everything. You cannot get cues about numbers and publications because it's all coming out together, and it's quite there is a lot coming out. We have reached a point, and it's strange reason like this because few years back in the past we were struggling to get one novel in 1 month, and
Mm.
now sometimes our fans, our readers, they come to us and saying, I cannot catch up. It's
Yeah.
too
Mhm.
it's too much a month, like I have bills to pay and too many things are coming out, so
Yep.
it's kind of the
That feels
opposite
familiar.
way. Yes.
Mm.
And then of course, like, we as a community are trying to support as much as possible the Italian community and
Mm.
the
Sure.
Italian speaking, because I don't know how is in Germany, but we don't read much in Italy. Like if you look at statistics and stuff, it's reading is not.
It's going downhill here as
Yes.
well. I'm not
Okay.
sure about
Yes.
statistics and numbers here, but I'm like the feeling is that people are reading less these days.
Uh-huh.
Though audiobooks I hear are making a return. We do not
Huh.
have Star Wars audiobooks though, so there's
Okay.
that.
No, we
But
we we neither.
hmm. I think
And so
The French are
the
actually doing
French,
some. Yeah.
yes, and yes. So we are trying to say, please, like, read and try to read in your language, and of course, if you are fluent in English, read in English. But we are trying to, and this is something that we got when few books were published and numbers on each books were really important. So to have a
Mm.
successful book meant that another book was coming. So we are really trying to push the Italian community as much as possible. Then, of course, sometimes something will not come out quite for
Mm.
sure. Basically, the moment I decide to buy something in English, the day later it will be announced in Italian.
I
It's
see.
usually it's like this.
All right. Well, so obviously I've already told you that I've switched my translation, my collection to English.
Yes, I would
That
like
was
yes, I would like to know more about this.
sure. Oh, sorry. This camera's doing weird focusing things. All right. Um, well, kind of that was around 2015 or like 2014 actually, really, because at that point the Canon cut came, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
and I had this thought, oh, like I want to stay up to date. I want to be in the conversations online on Twitter and with people. Also, I'm an English teacher. Um,
Okay.
I should have no problem reading this stuff in English. I've tried reading it in English before; it went fine. So why should I collect this stuff in German if it takes like years to come out? Not
Sure.
everything gets published and translated, and I kind of started selling all of my German books and switching to
Hmm.
English. I think I do have some books left that have a certain sentimental value to them.
Of
I do
course.
have the German editions, like stuff I worked on, of course, and the comics
Hmm.
magazines and the magazines and some book covers where I had input on. I kept those, but generally I've got everything in English now. But that doesn't mean I don't support like the German publishers.
Hmm.
Like a big focus for our website is still highlighting Panini, highlighting Bloverly, highlighting DK, who also have got a German branch.
Hmm.
Whenever they publish something, we will have a review ready for that as well. Or like when they send us a copy, we do.
Yes.
Takes a while sometimes. We'll review everything at some point, and we have readers who do like some of them read everything in German, some everything in English. Some say, yeah,
Hmm.
comics in German because they're pretty quick with the translations, or novels in German because I don't trust myself to read a whole novel in English, but a short
Of
comic
course.
is fine.
Hmm.
There are the weirdest combinations. Sorry, I'm going to have a drink here.
No, no problem. Maybe English is more spoken in Germany than it is in Italy. Like we don't, I think we're getting better, but we are still struggling maybe uh,
I mean,
in some point. So, but I don't know. You are
the
the English teacher, so
that's the thing. Like everybody here in Germany, you could say really everybody. It's probably like truly 90 or 99% of people.
Mhm.
Um, everybody has to learn English at school, and it's like the
Yes.
first, sometimes second language that you learn, foreign language
Mhm.
that you learn at school, besides German. So yeah, you have a high level of literacy, or people who, at least, even if they can't speak it because for some reason they're not good at it, um, they will understand when they're spoken to, at least, right?
Mhm.
And you have people who read, who tend to be, even no matter what, if they have a degree or not, but people who read tend to be smarter,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
um at least the people who still read, and you have those people, usually also, they are able to understand English to a point, at least. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
my idea of it, at least.
Okay.
Mm.
And yes, I think a lot of Italians really underestimate maybe their English. Well, we don't have a like
Germans
English
too.
is yeah,
Germans too.
English is mandatory, but teachers are not so good usually. Like a lot of people probably underestimate, and we also try when we review something in English, we always try to detail the level of required English. Maybe
All right.
if I had some difficulties in a book, maybe and I basically read everything in English because I want to catch
Mm.
up, but I read digitally and then I buy in Italian. That is my way of doing
I see.
things. So I
Yeah,
read
like
digitally in
that's actually
English,
good. I
and
like it.
then the physical copies I like them in Italian. That's it.
That makes
So
sense.
yes, like Marvel Unlimited for comics, and then yeah, just
Mm.
buying
So
the
like,
comics when coming out.
we have a team of, I think, 12 or 13 people at this point, and some freelancers, people who are not officially part of the team but also review stuff on our site. And we have a shockingly high number, like, of the people that review. There is a shockingly high number of people who have either studied English or are like away on business in English speaking countries a lot of the time, or
Yes.
do need English for their jobs. Like, we have people who are very good at English. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. So having them write a line on how understandable it was doesn't always make sense, because these people, like myself as well, were kind of biased, or like
Yes.
we wouldn't be like a good representation of how understandable it was. But what we did have is commenters who said, "Yeah, I read this book in English and it
Mhm.
was doable." Or people, when we
Okay.
post a review, say, "As you know, I'm really interested in this book. I don't want to wait 18 months until it comes out in Germany. Can I read this as somebody who had like this
Mhm.
grade in school in English, or who hasn't read a word of English since that high school degree or whatever it is?" Okay, and we try to
Mhm.
give our best estimate, but usually we just point people at the previews that are online, say, read it
Yes.
and see if you can do it. And also, it gets easier with every book that you read. At the same time,
Exactly.
we don't want to push people away from the German editions. On the contrary, actually, I think
Mhm.
also, since we've started reviewing the English copies, and since people have, discovered the possibility of ordering an English copy, which is also something that hasn't always been there, right? That came with
Yes.
retailers like Amazon and like
No.
globalization and all of that. Um, I think German publishers have started to notice, oh, we're actually suddenly in competition with the English
Yes.
editions, and we need to step up our game. We need to be faster. We need to
Yes.
supply our audience and build a community, as you said. And
Mhm.
especially Panini have been good at building a community and supporting it. Uh, so yeah, that definitely is also a topic
Mhm.
here. Mm.
Yes, for Light of the Jedi, it was really like this. I was trying to say the book is really good, but wait these 3 months and buy it in Italian because
Yeah,
it is important. It is the first book. It is the first novel that Panini
see,
is doing.
I think
It has to be
German fans
good.
German fans would have no issue at all waiting 3 months. But
Yes,
as I said, Resistance Reborn just came out in August here in Germany. The film came out in 2019, so
indeed.
2.5 years, so almost 3 years of a delay. That's
Yeah.
just not good. Like, we have to cut them some slack because of the COVID pandemic, which meant that Star Wars books, at least novels, didn't get published in Germany for like a few
Hmm.
months. I think 8 months of a break, actually, or something. Um, that certainly was an issue, but it was already a late translation at any rate. So yeah, we're glad that that is changing now. So yeah.
Hmm.
Um, one thing also that is kind of come up just because I read everything in English is that some publishers, also some editors, will sometimes send me an email like, "Hey, what do you think? Should we do this or that?" Or
Uh-huh.
uh, I don't understand how this book connects to the other. Like, only recently, I think I had that about the Tempest Runner audiobook.
Yes.
And the publisher wanted to know how that connected to the other three High Republic Phase 1 novels, right?
Okay.
And stuff like that. So, like, they will actually ask us questions about how
Uh-huh.
stuff is connected, and so they can be like do it better for the German fandom, like so they
Okay.
know how
Good.
to plan their program or how to plan their
Uh-huh.
schedule of translations so it's better for the German readers, which is,
So
an honor as well. So it's
yes, yes.
when on one hand we're trying to help the fandom as much as we can because we're fans ourselves and that's what we love, but it's also cool sometimes to help the editors and translators figure stuff out. It
Mhm.
doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm at the same point as you. Let's say, and I believe it is really a big honor and also kind of a responsibility. But it's when our know-how and knowledge is recognized by the publishers, and it really feels good. And so like you don't have a like you said you're a freelance for Panini for the comic for some comics, the magazine, I believe, right?
Yeah, basically what I do is they have a letters to the editor section called Sky
Uh-huh.
Talker. Nice pun. Which I've actually, this comics magazine, like, do I have the latest issue here? Let me quickly check. I've got like a little stack of stuff that I thought you might want to talk about. The current at issue 86, I think, or 87 this month. This is 85. Um,
Okay.
Basically, I can show you a little bit. My job is to, like, they send all of the letters that they get,
Uh-huh.
and I'll have to curate the ones that make it to print, that make it to the magazine, answer them,
Okay.
write a little introduction, and what I also do is curate variant covers for a cover gallery from the American
Okay.
sort of publication. So yeah, that's Sky Talker.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
like before this 86 issue magazine, they also had an older one which ran for 125, I think, issues,
Hmm.
which was the Legends comics that ran from 1999 to,
Okay.
well, 2015 when
Okay.
the Marvel comics started again.
Hmm.
And I always read those letters as a kid growing up. Like, that was something I did, or as a
Hmm.
teenager. And getting to like edit that myself now, it was fun. Like, they came to me in 2015, I think, and
Uh-huh.
said, "Florian, we need somebody who knows a lot about Star Wars and wants to answer that stuff. We need to outsource this to somebody else. Can you do
Okay.
it? Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Sure,
Sure.
why not?" So yeah, and there's like this behind the panels. Yeah, so left and
Okay.
right coordination with the camera. It's
Uh-huh.
driving me nuts. This one, which is basically a section highlighting the canon connections between the issues that are in there and other stuff. For example, like, every issue has two American issues. You'll see this one contains an issue of Darth Vader and an issue of the High
Uh-huh.
Republic, Eye
Okay.
of the Storm. And then I always I'll read the American issues again, and I see, okay, here they mentioned this planet or that, and I'll point out to the readers from where they might know this.
Okay.
This, or what's the story behind of that, or if there's like, if I read
Hmm.
like any interviews with, for example, Joss Soul or Kevin Scott, and they say something interesting about the characters, and then I'll include that as well. Like, that's kind of what I'm doing there. And another thing I'm doing, this is like, It started as a fan magazine, but it's an officially
Uh-huh.
licensed magazine, the
Oh,
Journal of the Wills,
nice.
um, which which is a subscriber edition of another magazine. Which, wait a second. Oh, here it is. So if you go to a German newsstand, you might find the official Star Wars magazine looking something
Okay.
like this. We're
Uh-huh.
at issue 107 now. 108 is releasing in December, and I've been a part of it since 2011
Uh-huh.
for
So it's
when it
it's
was
like
play.
the Star
Yeah,
Wars Insider of Germany,
exactly.
basically.
So part of what's inside is the Star Wars Insider articles, like the more
Okay.
interesting ones at least. That we're
Uh-huh.
selecting them. I'm one of the translators that work on that. We also have our own articles, which we also have to translate, but into English, so Lucasfilm can have a look.
Yes, of
Yeah, and I've
course.
been doing that for like also 11 years now.
Wow, that's so
Translating
nice.
German to English, English to German for that. It's like a magazine comes out every 3 months here.
Okay.
And we're kind of really happy to still have this magazine because most of places around the world that used to have an official magazine have lost it.
Yes.
uh, Mostly because people, like people used to come to this magazine for news. That has obviously changed. News are much faster now online. So what's
Mhm.
there still to do? Like we mostly have the behind the scenes reports, interviews, overviews of upcoming books and comics. That's kind of the stuff that you find, and short stories, of course, like the High Republic short stories, or like
Oh,
also the
nice.
other short stories from Legends or from canon,
Uh-huh.
whatever's
So
available
you
to us, we'll take.
okay. So you
Mm.
you you got the translated short stories in your
Yeah.
magazine, basically. Okay,
Yes.
that's super cool.
Not
We
all of
don't
them,
get it.
but all of the canon ones we have. Many of the Legends ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, we don't have a magazine, but I don't know. I don't believe it will be easy to manage in Italy. I don't know. They tried, I believe, some years ago, but nothing too successful. I think, but I hope Panini in some ways can
Mm.
translate at least the High Republic short story collection. Because they did everything. They also did Tempest Runner, although
Oh,
in a
cool.
script form, not audiobook but script form. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the encyclopedias and also the short stories. That's not typical from Panini, but sometimes they can
Mm.
surprise us.
Yeah, with the short stories, it's a little bit weird because this magazine here is a cooperation between various publishers. Like there
Uh-huh.
used to be, there used to be like this small independent publisher that did the magazine. It is now cooperating with Panini. I don't know if they can
Okay.
get the short story collection on the way. I hope they will be able to do
Uh-huh.
that. But at this point, I don't have any indication of whether yes or whether no.
Okay.
So we'll have to see.
Uh-huh.
As far as the nonfiction books go, like the reference books and guides,
Yeah.
that's um, in Germany we have Dorling Kindersley or DK,
Okay.
who are also
DK.
the American publisher or British publisher, right, of a lot of those visual guides. And they don't do everything from their American program in Germany, but they do definitely do all of the Lego books because somehow they sell
Okay.
as crazy. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yes.
Honestly, I think they're funny. I think they're quirky, but I don't know why these are their best sellers really, because they have got so much more interesting books to me at least.
Yes.
They might not have a toy inside, but I command like the Rogue One visual dictionary or like the timelines book that is coming up. Like
Yeah.
they pick the more interesting ones from their American program and also bring
Mhm.
those in German. We will get the translation of the timelines book at least.
Oh,
And then there
that's
are
nice.
some various other smaller publishers, sometimes Panini, sometimes like this new one who just announced their translation of this High Republic Chronicles of the Jedi book from
Oh,
Inside Editions.
uh-huh.
In Germany, it's going to be from a small publisher named Crosscult, who
Okay.
I've heard good things about. So we'll see how that looks then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I believe that, well, uh, all the, like, basically Disney Publishing Italy some
Mm.
years ago was buyed by another publishing house, but
Hmm.
they don't have the right, like they have some publishing rights probably for the encyclopedias and the like activity books by DK, like really young, but somehow they don't publish anything. And then maybe Panini, if Panini wants to do something, they can do it. Maybe ask. It's not clear, and then that's it.
Yeah, well,
But of course. And what about the price of books in Germany? Because for us now, it's beginning to be like, why do I have to buy a book in Italian that is costing, I don't know, maybe
I'll have a look.
24 euro, when I can buy the English version for half the price online? And this is something that nowadays it's coming out
Um, do
like
you get
strongly.
hardcovers or paperbacks in Italy?
So we get both, depending.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
so
Okay. Cool.
High Republic books are uh, coming all in hardcover, uh,
Oh,
and
wow.
the young adults are with the same height as the adult
Hmm.
novels. So it's not like in the US, where they have different formats for adult and young adult. So we basically have two formats, adult and young adult all together, and then we have the middle
I
grade
see.
that are hardcover but
Right.
without soft cover above. And then the other novels, like the Throne books and Master and Apprentice and etc etc, they are coming out in paperback, but it's not a cheap paperback. So
Yeah.
I'll show you one. So you have this is Throne
Yeah.
Ascendancy 3, and you see like
Cool.
it's soft touch and
Yeah.
then lucid paper, and you have this inside
All right.
like this. So
This
it's
is
not
pretty much
super.
the same format we have as well
Okay.
for the young adult books.
Uh-huh.
We do not get any hardcovers for novels,
Mm-hmm.
not since the 90s, I think,
Okay.
sadly. I mean, there have been a few special editions, but like only like 3 or 4 of them in the last 20 years.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I think we got a collected editions of the Republic
Throne trilogy.
Commando
Oh
and
no, Republic
no,
Commando.
no, Republic Commando and the Old Republic, because the
Oh,
video game
that's good.
based novels are actually published by Panini,
Uh-huh.
and they decided to do that. Meanwhile, the rest of the books is at Blanc-Vallée, like the Random House company that I mentioned.
Okay.
They're not doing that. So yeah, we do get paperbacks in a pretty good quality, like you do, like much better than American paperbacks, which,
Yes, they are.
pardon me, but sometimes I feel like they're printed on toilet paper.
Yeah, they are.
Uh, but yeah, still, uh, and they're like very sturdy paperbacks, like they don't crack easily. They're pretty
Yes.
high quality. Sadly, not hardcover. Like, and I just looked it up. Like, we're getting Alphabet Squadron 3 in December, and it's priced at 15 euros
Uh-huh.
for the paperback and 13 euros for the ebook.
Okay,
Um,
that's reasonable, I would say.
Yeah, like it used to be back when I was still reading the German books. We were like at around, I think there was like a smaller paperback format and a bigger one. The bigger one was
Uh-huh.
about 9 euros and the smaller one
Well,
even 8. So yeah, that has changed. Now we're at, I think, 12 to 15 euros typically
okay.
for a German novel.
Uh-huh.
As far as the comics go, like this magazine here, that's let me check the current price. It's 5.99. Yeah,
5.99.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I think
and you get two stories, right?
yeah. You get
Okay.
2 American issues in it. We also
Okay.
have trade paperbacks that come out that also, like not every comic is getting a magazine. You have a lot of comics that go straight to a collected
Straight to.
edition in German
Uh-huh.
as a graphic novel, basically.
Okay.
Um, and they are at, let me check actually, so I don't lie. So they get 2 editions. They get a soft cover edition and they get a hardcover edition. These
Uh-huh.
soft covers currently, they are pretty expensive. I think they're between 15 and 20 euros typically.
Okay.
So
And
like
the
the
hardcover?
Dr. Aphra, the fourth
Uh-huh.
volume of the Crimson Reign storyline, that's at 15 euros. The hardcovers, they are limited to 333 copies per volume. Yes, thank you. And they're at 29 euros.
29. Okay.
And that's
Okay.
always like that's a
Interesting.
consistent price. No, since 2015, there's always cost
Oh,
29.
okay. That
So I think for some volumes that'll be a profit for them. Some profits for some volume that'll be a loss for them. And then
uh-huh.
in the grand
They balance
scheme
out.
of
Yeah.
things, it'll level out. It'll balance out. Yeah.
Mhm. I'll get a couple of Italian editions to show you, and then I will tell you about Italian prices because it's completely different.
Oh, okay.
So basically, our novels. So this is Light of the Jedi
All
hardcover
right. Cool.
in
That
Italian,
looks really
and
nice. I wish they did them here.
and hardcovers are about 24 euros.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so yes, it kind of makes sense, but the fact is that soft covers are 24 euros. This
That does not make sense.
yes. Like this is 25 because it's huge, but they are
Yeah.
around 20, sometimes 23, sometimes 24, but basically adult novels are 24, then
All right.
sometimes 25, sometimes 23, depending on the number of
Yeah,
pages.
that's a more expensive hobby then.
Yes. Exactly. Then we have comic issues. So this is the High Republic magazine that
Oh yeah.
contains only one American issue of the High Republic. So it's
How often does it
on
publish?
one per month. So
All right. Okay.
this has a 3 or 4 months delay from the
All right.
US
Cool. And do
issue.
you have like single issues for every series or just for High Republic?
No, we have single issues only for High Republic because
All
it
right.
sells really well. And then we have a magazine coming out also monthly that contains
Mm.
Star Wars 2020 and Darth Vader 2020
Yeah.
series.
Okay.
Whereas, for example, Bounty Hunters and Dr. Afra are coming straight to trade
Yeah.
paperback, only soft cover. And Star Wars and Darth Vader 2020 are coming out in hardcover basically 6 months after the issue. So this is the hardcover of the trade paperback
Oh yeah.
hardcover of Star Wars 1. This
That looks
was
nice.
for 18 euro, and
Okay.
the soft cover trade paperback are about 14 or 15 euros. And
Those
the
prices
issue,
sound very reasonable, actually.
yes,
Yeah.
comics are more then it depends. Of course, there are sometimes that prices do not really have a meaning. I don't know. It's that they do not correlate with the number of pages and stuff. And issues, so High Republic is 3 euro, and
All right.
the magazine with Star Wars and Darth Vader is 5 euro. So
Those
quite,
prices are similar here. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, I believe quite reasonable. Then we have some omnibuses around 70, 75, depending on the
Oh,
number
you,
of
you
pages.
get omnibuses. Oh,
Yeah, I'll show you.
we do not get them. We do
Uh,
have so we do have what we do have. And we don't get omnibuses, but we do have is that's nice. What we do have
yes.
is like a collection, like which is a reprint series of
Uh-huh.
small format hardcovers that Panini does.
Okay.
Currently, like they used him to reprint, like I think I don't know how many issues actually. Let me check. So I don't give you a wrong number there. But they're reprinting issues from volumes from the Marvel series since 2015 in the
Okay.
order that these paperbacks were published in the US. So kind of
Hmm.
if you follow that series, you kind of get the chronological no, sorry, like the chronological publishing order.
Yes.
And before that, they had a 120 volume collection of the Star Wars Legends
Uh-huh.
highlights, basically,
Yeah.
also in that format. Like I think every volume costs about 11 or 12 euros,
Uh-huh.
and it had in it
Yeah.
like
We
it was smaller than the normal hardcovers, but it got like Yeah,
No,
most of the
we
important
had we
books.
had something similar in 2015. They started with
Yeah.
30 issues, then 60, then 90
Yeah,
at the
I
end.
think actually it might actually be the same, concept as, like, the same
Yes,
series, because
with
I remember
legend stuff. Yes.
that the German editions had, texts written by Italian editors of Panini inside.
Ah,
Okay.
yes, the text of Marco Ricompensa, that is the Italian
Yes,
editor.
yes, yeah,
Yes, Marco,
yep.
Marco, yes.
So
Uh,
so that was actually translated into German, right? So
oh,
there's a
nice.
connection between our fandoms, yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
didn't know. Marco has been the editor of Star Wars stuff for Panini since the beginning. Sometimes we meet
Mhm,
him at Lucca, for example,
yeah.
or we are trying to have let's say a live on YouTube every January with him and with the head of the editorial board of Panini. That's,
Mhm.
hey, let's catch up on how this year went, and what did you like, what did you didn't particularly like, something like this. We actually you started this in 2021 because they had, in November 2020 they announced that, hey, we are doing novels, we are doing High Republic.
Oh, cool.
So they said, okay, we are starting in April, and in January when the book came out, and we have already read the advanced review copy, as you for sure did. And back in the day, because and now it's more difficult to have advanced review copy. Oh, you have that. Wow,
Yes, I
that
have that,
is, yeah, that
which is
is
like I love this thing.
really,
It's one of my
that is
favorite
really amazing.
possessions.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kinda
I
get it
believe
open
so.
here. Yeah, yeah, like
Wow.
this issue, this edition. Yeah. I also have the flashing button that's in there, but I think it's somewhere in the back because I took it to a
Okay.
convention recently and it
Um,
might still be
I,
in there.
I, I
Yeah.
I got that by ordering Justina's book, a local bookshop in some place in the US that
There
were
it is.
giving out that.
Warning,
Uh,
flashing lights, I guess. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Here we go.
And so we organized this live on YouTube, and they actually used our YouTube channel to announce stuff. That was really fun.
Cool.
And we are trying to do this every January. So basically, they just keep something for us, and hey, let's just comment, talk about the year past, and maybe shed some light on the new publications. That is really, I think, a nice collaboration. Then, of course, we try to review the novels in when they come out in English. Of course,
Mhm.
if Del Rey and Disney are let's say,
If
if
they
they
give you
help
a
us,
copy.
we
Yeah.
giving us a copy, we can do this with the proper timing also.
I just got an email
And
that
yes.
they've sent out the audiobooks for Convergence. So
Oh, okay.
Yes, I just
Okay,
saw the
okay.
notification pop up here. Yeah. All right.
Yes, for novels, we are trying to review all of them when they come out in English, because I believe it's useful also for Panini to maybe understand if a novel is can be interesting or not. So if they have to choose between something, like we really hope they do not have to choose and they can publish everything, but
Mhm.
sometimes they have, and I believe that our opinion is taken into consideration, at least. Like,
Yeah.
we really pushed in the past few months to get the Star Wars Adventures, like the tales from Vader's
Ah, yeah.
Castle.
Yeah.
And next, like last week in Lucca, they announced they are doing an omnibus with the whole series, like the three series and the one shot. They're doing everything,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
we really pushed for that because it's such a good and you know, fun series, and Cavan is always great when he does that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. So
I love that
we
series. Yes, totally.
so I would like to go, let's say, to finish this chat. It was really really fun. So you said that there was an event, like a convention in Germany, and was it
Yes.
only about Star Wars? Was it a general pop
So
culture
you're talking about
convention?
the one where Kevin Scott was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's actually a charity convention called Norris
Okay.
ForceCon, and yeah, the Force in the title is for Star Wars, all right?
Norse.
Um, which is organized by fans, the Star Wars fans from Nuremberg, okay,
Uh-huh.
Nuremberg, okay.
Yes.
And they do that every, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. It's not
Hmm.
not like a regular convention, but I think the
Okay.
next one is set for 2024 or 2025. So I'm a
Okay.
bad fan. I don't know. I don't know offhand. Uh, but yeah, basically, what happened was they were inviting all these guests, and I thought like, why not invite somebody from High Republic? And I told them like,
Yes.
I emailed one of the organizers and said, what would you think about inviting Captain Scott? He lives in Great Britain. That's close. I'm
Yes.
sure he'd
It
love
is.
it. And yeah, they said, okay, great idea, actually, because the person I was talking to is also a High Republic fan. So
Fellow.
yeah, they, they sent him an email. He pretty much agreed right away, and yeah, that's how we got to be in Germany.
Okay.
It was a really cool event. He did signings, of course. He had his
Yes.
panel, and we also had a High Republic themed panel, kind of
Hmm.
offering the fandom perspective on
Okay.
the or point of view on High Republic, how we perceived it, why is it different for us as fans from
Hmm.
all the other Star Wars books. And Kevin actually came to that panel.
Oh,
Um,
that's so nice.
yeah, he sat in the audience, and he even told us before, like when he knew that we were doing the panel, he told us before, if you want to, you can call me up on stage and interview me, only if you want to. And yes, how can we say no to that? So
Yes.
after
It's
like I think
impossible.
yeah, so we had like a 60-minute panel, and after I think 35 minutes or so, we decided, okay, we've said enough, time to get the man on stage. And we did like another 20 minutes or so of interview with him, a question and answer session. Some of our own
Okay.
questions, some more from the audience. But yeah, that was certainly a memory that's going to stick with me for a while.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. Yes.
Mm.
And are you planning to attend the Star Wars celebration in London
Yes,
next year?
yes, for
That's
sure.
that's okay. That's
Uh,
so nice.
hope
I'll
it works
be,
out, but yeah.
yes, of course. It's uh, like it's a bit difficult to plan these months in
Mhm.
advance. You never know about work and stuff,
We've
but
we've got our tickets, so at this point, we'll just hope that it'll happen. Yeah,
yes, yes,
I'd love to go.
we got our tickets as well. It will be my first celebration because I've never
Mm,
been. I've been very close to attend in 2017
all
and
right,
maybe also in 2019, but
all right.
then study things and
Well,
university, it was difficult.
in 2013, there was the one in
You
Germany,
had,
and
yes, in
of course,
Essen.
I went. Yeah, of course. We, my wife then back then she was my girlfriend, and we went for sure. Like
Okay,
that wasn't even like a big decision. We just okay, if it's in Germany, we have to go.
of course.
Yeah, it was certainly a
Okay.
cool event. Not much in the way of announcements or like big
Uh-huh.
reveals that they had. Then nowadays, everybody at conventions just cares about these reveals, at
And
least from the online perspective. But like, I think the biggest thing they announced that weekend was that John Williams would be returning for The Force Awakens,
oh,
um,
okay.
which everybody kind of assumed he would, right?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so, but it still was cool to see all these fans and fan groups from all around the world, to see
Mhm.
Kathleen Kennedy and Carrie Fisher, rest in peace. People
Yeah.
like that on stage. That was special. All right, for sure.
Yes. Yes, I believe so. I'm really like crossing my fingers to be able to go to Star Wars Celebration Europe. So I have my
Mhm.
tickets, and
See you there.
yes, yes, for sure. It will be. like a pleasure. Also, it's a bit of a secondary, let's say, goal of this video series is get to know some people, and then we can meet up in London all together, and we already know each other just a bit. Also, like
Sure.
from an online perspective, but it's good. It will be. I think it will be fun, and this idea really came to me like thinking about Star Wars Celebration Europe, because it's okay, it's in London, and it's in an English speaking country, but it's should be about like a lot about European fans, and we are, and so it will be like sometimes of course I feel a bit uh not underestimated, but uh the focus is not on Italian and on German fans.
No, no.
And
I know
on
what you mean.
people, yes, and on people not attending the convention, and cannot maybe buy a
Mm,
collector edition, that I know it's a really
yeah,
first world problem, but it means so much to people also outside the US. It's
totally.
yes, and it's
Yeah,
cool to
we should
highlight this.
be having more celebration in Europe as well. And
Yes,
as far as the event goes, I kind of expect it to be very American still.
yes,
Like
of course.
in 2013 in Germany, they had this horrible merchandise that celebrate. Like we went into this store and we're like, who buys this stuff? And the answer was Americans. But for example, they had T-shirts with Darth Vader dressed as if he were going to the Oktoberfest. All right, uh,
Of
and
course.
yeah, in Lederhosen basically, and it was subtitled with Vaderhosen. Okay, so it was just atrocious. So I don't expect like this to like the organizers are still American. I don't think the
Yes,
event will be that much like tailor-made for the European
European
experience or whatever
events.
you might call it. But as long as we fans are there, we can make it our own. All right. So that's what
Yes.
I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I
Mm.
totally agree, and I will be happy to like chat with you on the in London, and maybe get also the other communities that I hope they will attend. Well, this video series, this podcast series, and the celebration as well.
All right.
So, Florian, thank you very much for this chat. It was a really great pleasure meeting you and chatting about our passion. So it was super interesting,
Likewise,
also
Giorgio.
from a bit of a technical point of view, and prices and publishing houses. But it was fun to have an idea of what's going on in Germany.
Yeah, likewise. I've also found it interesting to see where the similarities and differences are.
Yes,
We even share one of the publishers between us. So yeah, it was cool.
it
Thank you
is.
for the invitation. I was very
Yeah.
honored.
So thank you very much, and I will be seeing all of you in the next video of Star Compass, I believe next month. So I don't know when this is coming out, probably end of November, but let's see. So thank you very much to everyone, and may the force be with you.
Goodbye. May the force be with you.